So if you are a medium or small business and you're looking at insurance coverage, one of the areas that I'm sure has come up in your policies or you're thinking about it is cyber liability insurance. And up until recently, it was a pretty simple process of adding on an endorsement of your existing coverage, maybe getting a new policy standalone for cyber liability. But because of the fact that this area of risk is being more prominent in the marketplace, insurance companies are really looking at it as a serious area of insurance coverage. As an example, you may have fire insurance, general liability, professional liability, other coverages on your business, but companies have never really seen that as a huge percentage risk versus the policy premium. But cyber liability with hacking, ransomware, and other cyber events is taking a big bite out of insurance company expenses, so they're having to reprice policies accordingly, and in some cases not even writing policies. So this is a really good article from Property and Casualty where commercial insurance agencies are really looking at their practices of writing coverages in different industries. The total value of suspicious activity with ransomware exceeded the total value during the entire 2020, and that was only halfway through the year. Standalone policies are new. They have grown in the last decade to account for the increased risks, but the risk might not be priced properly, and companies that are writing these policies without properly underwriting the cost or having actuarials, they might go out of business, and the insurance commissioners can't let that happen because then there's no coverage. So the National Association of Insurance Commissioners is looking at this very, very carefully. Another example is that middle management for these companies are advising brokers of what to look for when they're writing coverage. Conventional cyber insurance isn't enough to solve the risk challenges for most mid-sized businesses. There's going to be other things needed besides just writing a policy to cover up for losses. There's going to be best practices within the insureds to make sure that they have good prevention measures. And if you don't have them, you may not be able to have coverage, or your coverage might be ineligible for payment. Awareness of risk is not the problem. Everybody knows the risk is there. The real challenge is how to put solutions in place that reduce the cyber exposure prior to an incident. Because if you just feel like your solution to cyber liability is to buy an insurance policy, it's kind of like buying fire insurance but leaving gas cans all around your company, right? You have to be proactive in keeping it from happening. Otherwise, you won't have coverage, or the coverage will be too expensive. Because of that, cyber insurance costs are rising rapidly as costs increase. The companies are seeing that the coverage that they're placing and they're paying out is way more than they thought, so they're having to raise the premium amount. What does that mean for 2022? Well, everybody's going to have to work together. The insurance companies, the insurers, the major platforms, whether it's Lloyd's or excess and surplus carriers, or even some of the legacy carriers, along with brokers and agents, along with the insureds themselves, have to work together to put a comprehensive cyber plan in place, not just to buy insurance to cover everything, but to have insurance along with underwriting, along with best practices, and also insurance agent collaboration. You want your agent involved with best practices to prevent a loss, because most of these policies aren't going to cover your whole loss. You may have business loss of use, you may have a deductible, you may have other expenses that aren't covered. So even if you do have a loss and some of your damages are reimbursed, you're still going to have a pretty serious financial hit. So you want to prevent this as much as possible. Use your agent and broker as a great resource to put together a plan to prevent that from happening. And even software supply chain is now an issue where everybody has different platforms, apps, software that you use in your business every day, even something like Salesforce. Well, what happens if Salesforce went down for a week? because they got hacked. That would affect your business or your credit card processor or your accounting software. All of these things are part of your software supply chain. No longer is your supply chain just physical goods that are delivered to your company for manufacture or resale. They're the software platforms that you use every day that you count on to make sure that you're able to do business. Having backup plans, contingency plans, knowing where your weak points are, knowing where your choke points are, is all going to be part of the new cyber liability, cybersecurity landscape. If you have questions about cyber liability insurance, you can reach us at our website, riskcoverage.com. We'll be glad to be of assistance.